Okay, welcome to the other side of medicine. I am Dr. James Christosic. There you go. Okay, I'm sorry. A little bit of technology. Go ahead.
I didn't hear a word you said. So
I just introduced you. I gave you some really great accolades.
okay. And I'm like, where'd he go? Where'd he go? Like, hey, what's up, everybody? How you doing? Hi, Dr. James.
Okay, so we are ready, and our audience would like to know a little bit more about your background. I gave a nice glowing introduction to you.
Okay, since I have no clue what you said, everything you said is true. Absolutely. Everything.
You know, we're here to laugh tonight, folks. I love this. This lady is great. Yeah. So,
Yeah,
okay. So, go
that's what
ahead, Dr. Lady.
that's what happens when you're at the club and somebody introduces you the wrong name. Whatever they said is right. That's right. I've
That's
been,
good. That's good. I
I'm a
love it.
star of Hollywood, and I've been on the Emmy Awards. I have several academies. I've done all that. Yes, thank you so much.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you're a really interesting lady. We're going to talk about some of your interesting background because I'll tell you what, people are going to be surprised when we hear some of the things you've gotten into and gotten through. It's like it's pretty amazing. So I really am glad that you.
Okay, I don't know.
There we go.
Okay.
Ooh, there we go.
All
I somehow
right.
got I got disconnected somehow. I'm not sure what happened, but anyways,
Okay.
we are here. And Dr. Lane, tell us a little bit more about your background, please. I know you said a few things that you've done, but I want to hear one thing that I heard about you that I was so enamored by. You were actually selected to be an astronaut.
Yes, yes,
Tell us
yes.
about that.
So I should start with the fact that I was a doctor in Houston doing my residency, and I looked in, as a doctor, as a resident, you don't make much money. So I was looking around in the newspaper classifieds, like, so this is way back in the day, as you can imagine. We're talking about newspaper classifieds, not the internet. And they had an ad that said looking for waitresses and astronauts. I'm like, sure, why not? So I applied. Who does
Waitresses and astronauts.
right,
Oh my
right?
God.
And the whole deal was like I should have applied to be the waitress because they make far more money. But at any rate, I was in Houston, and then came back home to Detroit, and then all of a sudden I got this call, and they said, And I actually got the application. So I filled out the application. It was due on December the 31st at midnight. So 11:59, December 31st, New Year's Eve. And I was like, oh my God, should I really do this? I don't know if I should do it because I didn't have the application for 3 or 4 months. And I put it in the mail, and like I got back in the car, and it was snowing. I'm like, shit. Sorry. I don't know. I'm like, I just applied to be an astronaut. I know I don't have the right stuff. Okay. Because they were all men at that time, all white men. So then I got a call at work, and they said, Dr. Lane, this is NASA. Would you like to come to NASA to interview to be an astronaut? I'm like, what? And then I told my boss, an ER doctor at that point, and I'm like, I said, I know I apologize to you dearly, but they want me to come and interview to be an astronaut. And if it's okay with you, I don't have to go. I don't have to go. And he almost kicked me in the butt to make me go. So so I went to NASA, interviewed with at Johnson Space Center. It was a week-long interview, and it was incredible. And I came home after 44 hours and a colonoscopy, and I'm like, what are y'all looking for up there? Asteroids? So anyway, after that, I finally heard from them, and I didn't make it. So it was like the best interview of my life. On the other hand, fast forward to 2021, I've interviewed again to be an astronaut with Elon Musk, and now I'm on the waiting list again to possibly go to the International Space Station. So
Wow.
my
Wow.
thing is never, ever, ever give up. And this is a
Wow.
contest. This is a contest. So, contest, everybody vote for me, vote for me, vote for me. And
Wow. What a
but
story.
so it's good. I'm so excited, and I'm getting ready to go back to Houston in 2 weeks. I'm going to become an underwater astronaut. I'm going diving, and I'm still, I'm trying to learn the language of outer space and astronauts. But you know what? I'm older, so I've had the kids. I've done all that stuff, been there, done that. And the gap was I always wanted to do this, and so you just never give up the burning desire.
Wow, that is an amazing story, and we really would love to see you, be able to take off and, shoot you to the moon.
Yeah,
Speaking of shooting you to the moon, you do that with laughter. You
yeah,
send people
yeah,
to the moon with laughter, so you really are an astronaut in that respect.
yeah.
But I want to ask you, how in the world did you ever decide to become a stand-up comedian?
That's another story. So, um, I've always loved to laugh, and as I was growing up with my friends, a group of friends, and my sister, we just laughed a lot. And then on one evening, I was talking to my best friend, and she left and she went home. And then the next thing I know, she was shot and killed.
Oh
And
my, oh my!
but the only thing we were talking about was Oprah and Whoopi Goldberg, Oprah and Whoopi, and this was decades ago. And then I just kept remembering her say, "We got to do laughter. We got to do comedy. There's not many Black females in comedy. We got to do it. We got to do it." So my heart took on the spirit of her, and I started doing taking comedy classes, and I started getting up on stage and seeing if I was funny, and then seeing when I wasn't funny, and see what funny is all about. And I started, and I go up and I go down, and or this that up and down, and then I just kept doing it until I'm still doing stand up comedy to this day.
Wow, that's amazing. And how many years has that been for now?
30 plus years.
Okay, so tell us how you incorporate laughter into your practice. Do you do that?
I
I'm
try
sure
not
you
to.
do.
I try not to. No,
Really?
really. Oh, absolutely. Really, really. I
I don't
try
believe it.
not.
I
Yeah.
don't
Oh,
believe
oh. I try.
it. You try not to.
Are you kidding? Do you know what the climate of medicine is like nowadays? You can't come in telling jokes. Now, in the beginning, I thought it was all funny, it was all cute, and I would tell jokes, and patients would report me to administrators. Like, she thinks she's over here telling jokes, and you know what? So I learned to calm down. The laughter's for me, the laughter's for the staff, the laughter's good medicine. And then on an occasion, I can figure out who the patient is and what they're about and try to have fun with them. So I'm not always in a setting with this private practice. I'm in public settings
okay, gotcha.
with institutional stuff and ER and that kind of stuff. You just can't laugh at people who have like lost a limb or all of that kind of stuff.
Oh,
Although
sure.
on one occasion I did with a guy, and he just cracked up because I I took it to the edge. Sometimes you're sitting there, you're talking, you're being one with the person and one with their issues. And like I haven't been there with you. I didn't break a leg. My leg's not broken. I don't have a limp. But this guy had a really, really bad limp. And I said, you have balance problems. Why don't you just use a cane? You have a cane. He says, yeah, I have a cane, but I can't use it. I said, why not? He says, because it makes me look old. I said, well, you know what makes you look old? He said, what? I said, that limp. And then he just cracked up. so, so he was such a good sport about it. I said, I am so sorry, sir. He said, he said, you don't understand. I really needed that. I needed to laugh because I'm in so much pain. And he
Oh,
said, you just brightened my day. I'm like, I said, if you need to write me up, I'd be happy to write the letter for you. So anyway, it
oh,
was it
that's
was
awesome.
it was
So
fun.
why does laughter make us feel better?
Oh God, there's so many reasons why laughter makes us feel better. Number one, um, it you know let me go to my list of seven because I don't want to mess this up because I'll mess it up because I'll forget. I don't want to
That's
forget, and I
okay.
want your audience to really know. So number one, it does relieve pain because it releases endorphins, and endorphins are those happy chemicals that, if you think about it, if a doctor gives you morphine or any opium like drug, that's an endorphin. It goes to those receptors. So we have natural endorphins, and so it helps to release endorphins. So that's one of the effects of laughter. And they've done studies to look at people, if you looked at a comedy movie versus you looked at something sad, people who were laughing had more endorphins released than those who didn't laugh. So that's why if you watch those horror films and you find out you're in more pain, it's probably because you're working against yourself. But I love horror films. I love them. All right. And then it helps your heart. So if you laugh hearty, it increases oxygen and kicks up your heart rate, and it decreases arterial stiffness in our arteries. And so my big thing in life and in terms of helping people to stay young, live longer, is cardiovascular fitness and cardiovascular prevention. So laughter helps with arterial stiffness. And they've done studies. I forgot the doctor's last name. Because first name is Michael. He did studies at the University of Maryland that looked at arterial stiffness after people again watched happy movies or comedies. Then it also helps to boost your immune system, and it increases antibodies that are anti-infection antibodies. So I won't get real detailed about that. It
Mhm.
helps to lighten your mood, and you know what? A lot of when I looked at the studies that have been done for laughter, they're not huge studies. They're not 30-year double-blind placebo-controlled studies. They're little bitty studies, 27, 34, 50 people. But we all nuance the feeling of laughter. We think laughter is good and you feel good. So you know what? If you go to any country, you go anywhere, I think you might ask me a question about that. You see people laughing, it looks like they feel good. It's lightening their mood. And that's because it helps to reduce cortisol and it helps you to relax
That's
your body.
the stress hormone.
The stress hormone, yes, yes, yeah, the stress hormone. And I measure stress hormones in my patients because, look, let's face it, after the pandemic, the world got real dark and people are stressed out. And 50% of doctors are less happy than they were before the pandemic. 50%. Doctors are, we might say they're retiring from the profession. They don't want to take care of patients. They're worried about violence. They're worried about getting hit. I'm worried about getting hit. So you ask me, do I make jokes around patients? Hell no. So I just take it one breath at a time. I do more breathing than I do laughing. Okay, but it does stimulate your circulation, and it just really reduces stress. I think the biggest thing about laughter is that it reduces our stress and the short-term effects and long-term effects. And that's why people are in comedy clubs. They're going there sitting in the dark with a whole bunch of strangers laughing their heads off. Now, even if you came in alone, because I go to a comedy club quite often alone, you'd have to think I was probably crazy, huh? Why are you sitting in the dark laughing out loud? But it feels so good. It feels
Yeah.
so good. So,
Well, what about weight loss? Is there any evidence that you can lose weight
oh, that's such a silly question.
laughing?
But yes, yes, yes. So here's the deal with weight loss. So any physical activity, any movement, you're burning calories. If you laugh, and according to some studies, they looked at studies. If you're interested in losing 4 pounds a year, 4 pounds, just four. then you can laugh 15 minutes a day, hearty laughter, hearty for 15 minutes a day, and you'll burn up to about 40 calories. And it depends upon how hearty you're laughing at. But the thing is, if you're laughing that hard 15 minutes a day and concentrating on that, you're probably changing other behaviors in your life. So the laughter just adds on, like, more water, less high fructose corn syrup, more laughter.
Hmm. Hmm. Wow, those are some pretty remarkable things that we can get benefiting from laughter. So, how many times does the average American laugh a day?
Right, I love those questions. You know why? Because I looked those questions up and I said, how did they study this? How do they figure out how many times an adult laughs versus a child? Which literally they're saying we as adults, we turn off our humor, we turn it down, we don't laugh as much. So maybe anywhere from 4 times a day up to 20 times a day. It depends upon your state, your mental state, your state of depression, anxiety, stress, and if you're just in a good humor in general. So maybe 20, 30 times a day. We'll probably laugh more with me and you today. And I'll get my laughter in today, right now. Okay. Uh, but children, so that's 3 to 4, 20 times a day for adults, maybe. And that they've done that, they've studied that in small groups, small, tiny groups. And children, 300 to 400 times a day. And you look
Wow.
at and look at babies. Look at babies. Baby, when does a baby start to laugh? If you have a baby at home, look at, or you see a baby. Baby's like 2 days old, 3 days old, 2 months old, 3 to 4 months old. They're starting to laugh. What are they laughing at? They don't laugh at jokes.
Sure.
What
Yeah.
is causing the baby to laugh? And I think that's so fascinating that the babies universally do this laughter thing. You can tickle them, and that makes you laugh more. But babies start laughing around 3 to 4 or 5 months, and it's just a phenomena. I think it's a self preservation phenomena that's built into us as humans.
So as we get older, we laugh less, and then we end up having depression. 50% of Americans are on antidepressants, for goodness sakes. So we need to
Yeah,
laugh. Can we? Hey, I'll tell you what. Can we do a laughter exercise right now? I
sure.
mean, I want to laugh. Is there any way could you walk us through a laughter exercise?
All right. So let's see here.
We're gonna
There's
rub up our hands and warm
Yes,
up.
sir. Warm up your hands,
Okay, all right, I'm ready.
and then you think of something funny, and whatever that is, and then you decide how you're gonna laugh. So let's say you want to just do laugh out loud. You go, all right, so, right, and then you ever been somewhere and you listen to a person and they're laughing and they go,
Yeah.
all right. And then there's this sort of like a belly laugh, and you just like burst out laughing. So that may be something that you saw. Say, for instance, somebody slipped on a banana peel, but they didn't hurt themselves. Then
Okay.
you'll probably laugh. So I have to tell you, one of my best
How's
friends,
that
she
belly
lives.
laugh go? How's that belly laugh go? Kind of like a Santa Claus.
Right, right. So, so one
Hey,
of my
folks, everybody listening right now, you guys need to be joining in with us. This is so much fun. You need to be just mimicking what we do, guys, so you can let those endorphins be released. You can get that stress out of your body. Let it all go. It's like, it's just like letting the wind out the other end, right?
right. And if you haven't laughed today, just go someplace, look outside. And then there's a practice called laughter yoga where people just sit around. But I don't prescribe to that, but I know it's been working. It started out in India, and they sit in a group and they just laugh. All right, okay. So it's so silly, and I feel silly right now, but it's okay.
Oh
It's
no,
okay.
it's good.
It's
It's good.
okay.
I
That's
feel
right.
good. I'm actually feeling lighter just by doing this. It's awesome. What? Okay, so we got three. Is there more types of laughter?
There is a sophisticated kind of laughter.
Oh, okay. All right.
And then there's some said that, and then there's the laughter where you don't want to let it out. So say for instance you're in a place where you're not supposed to laugh. Say for instance at a funeral. and you're not supposed to laugh, but somebody says something really funny, or somebody farts next to you, or or I was at a wedding, and there was all of a sudden there was a caterpillar that was walking around during the wedding. Caterpillar, okay, it's in September, and it matched the carpeting, and I couldn't. I'd hear it go,
You got right
okay.
there.
All right. And then, but you don't want people to see that, because sometimes people think you're laughing at them. So there is all sorts of ways to control it. Then there's sort of like a nervous laughter. I see some of my patients, I've seen it more in patients than they just laugh like uncontrollably. I'm like, so are you
Yeah.
okay? Yeah.
Hey, I got a question I just thought of. Have you ever, there's a lot of people who laugh when they get frustrated, and it's almost like a frustration, but they cover it up with a laughter somehow, and but they're still frustrated underneath. That's not good.
Well, you know what? It's their way of coping. So laughter is really one of those coping mechanisms. And so
Well, that's
it's
okay
not.
to do then. That person is actually coping, and it's pretty good for them, right?
It may be good, it may not. You don't know what's underneath it. So that's the psychological part of all of this. You don't know why they're laughing. Are you nervous? Are you anxious? Are you embarrassed? This the embarrassed laughter. There's like, I'm really sick and I just want to laugh so bad. So something, everybody who's laughing is not laughing because it's funny. They're laughing as a almost like a reflex response to a
Yeah.
situation, to a situation.
Okay. So, are there any other types? What about giggles?
Oh, that's girls.
The little girl?
Girls giggle. I don't think boys giggle.
Oh no,
Little,
boys don't giggle.
even little boys don't really giggle. They look at girls like, oh, and girls, like, and so that's a little girl thing, I
Yeah, but
think. But
boys rule and girls drool.
yeah,
Touche.
that's right. That's right.
Okay, so tell me, Dr. Lane, what is one of the funniest practical jokes you ever put on somebody?
How much time do you have? Okay. Anyway,
You got to answer for everything that makes you laugh, don't you?
yes, yeah. So back in the day when I was a resident in Houston, Texas, and my sister and my girlfriend came down to visit me in Houston from Detroit. And I was on call, and so I got off call the next day. So I've been on call for 24 some odd hours or whatever, and they had to pick me up in the hospital because they had my car, but they wouldn't pick me up at 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock. So it's 3 o'clock in the afternoon. They finally wake up because they've been all out all night partying, and they come to the hospital to pick me up. So I told the nurse, because I was a neurosurgery resident on the rotation at that time, I said, and this is the neurosurgery ICU. So trust me, it's funny, but it's not, because there were a lot of sick patients there, and there was an empty bed. So I asked the nurse to put a bandage around my head and to put an IV on me, and then call my sister and tell them that I had fallen down the steps at the hospital and that I needed them to come pick me up immediately, because they wouldn't come pick me up for hours. So
Oh wow.
they came to the hospital, they came into the ICU, and I was on the monitor, beep beep beep. I had a bandage on, I had IV. So the nurse pulled the curtain. We were laughing our butts off. And she took out the IV. She put me in a wheelchair, and then I'm being rolled out the hospital in a wheelchair, and everybody's going, Dr. Shelby-Lane, what's going on? What happened? And I'm winking. I'm like, don't blow my cool. So we get all the way to my apartment in Houston, and I make them take me upstairs. I live on the upper level, and they took me up, because I already out of the wheelchair. So I'm in the car, and now I'm home, and they lifted me up, put me in the bed. And then I woke up, but at that point I took off the bandage, and I said, I don't know, something like April Fool. Maybe it was April Fool or something like that. And I'm like, oh my God. And then they beat me with the pillows. They beat me with pillows. And then they took off in my car and left me at home. So,
Oh, oh my goodness gracious.
so
That is so funny. I mean,
yeah,
you are really, really crafty there. I'll tell you what,
yeah,
that's pretty creative.
yeah.
So I've got one that I'll share with you and
Okay.
everybody. So my sister, back in the day when she was in college, and I was much younger then as well, of course. I told her one day, we were sitting at the table in the evening, and I said, Debbie, and she was like just had lost a boyfriend and she was looking for, to have some new, some new love in her life. And I said, I've got a hot date for you. She goes, really? I said, yep. I said, you know what? I'll tell you what, just leave the room and I'm gonna really surprise you. She goes, really? I said, yeah. She just left the room. I said, come back in about 5 minutes. So she left the room. And what I did is I went into the cupboard. I got a DiGiorno date and I put it on a dish and I got some cayenne pepper and I sprinkled it on the date. And when she came back, I said, she said, well, where's my date? I said, here it is. And I pulled the dish out and it had the date that you eat with a cayenne pepper on it. And she just, her jaws dropped. She just like, oh my goodness gracious. So I gave her a hot date.
You know, that's crazy. All right.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
okay, let's talk about the difference between men laughing and women laughing. Does men laugh more? Do women laugh more? Do they laugh different? Tell me a little bit about that.
So women have sort of a different sense of humor and they like more sentimental comedies and that sort of thing. Men and women, I found out, don't really like things like the Three Stooges or the Marx.
Yeah.
They don't like that kind of,
They
but
don't like
men
the
love it.
slapstick. They don't like the
Men,
slapstick.
no, no, not at all. Men love it. Men love
Now,
it.
Bob, how
So
about you? Do you like slapstick?
I like it all.
Okay, yeah. Well,
I
a
like it
comedian,
all.
I guess they would. I guess you would. But
Yeah.
most women, I've noticed they don't like slapstick.
No, no, I love the Three Stooges. I love the Marx Brothers. Because there was you probably know him, Norman Cousins. So this is a one-person case
Oh
study.
yeah,
Norman Cousins, Anatomy of an Illness, and he had
yeah,
ankylosing spondylitis, severe
yeah,
spine disorder. And the doctors wanted to give him drugs, maybe the 30s or 40s. I'm not sure that era. And they wanted to give him drugs. He checked himself out of the hospital in California, and he went to a hotel, like probably Motel 6, and then he rented a bunch of
Charlie Chaplin and all that
yeah,
stuff. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. It must have been. They didn't have videos back then, did they? No. But he watched these TV shows with Charlie Chaplin and the Marx
Yep,
Brothers and
yep.
the Three
Mhm.
Stooges, and he laughed himself into living another 10 or 11 years. So that's it.
Yeah, that's pretty amazing. So
That is.
what about men? What's their little nuance about laughter?
Uh, I just think it's I don't know. I don't know the real basic difference between men. I just know that women are more sentimental, like comic wit, and men like more slapstick, and you know.
Sure, sure. Okay.
But
So
there's a thing in comedy that men are funnier than women, and as we look at comedy over time, from Jack Benny and Bob Hope to Lenny Bruce, who went to jail and was arrested, to Richard Pryor, and then the newer comics nowadays. Everybody now it's not so much men and women, it's that people are more politically have to be politically correct, and that's because of what millennials have brought to the scenario. And you can't say this, you can't say that, it's politically incorrect. So even when I'm on stage, I'm like, I can't do politics, I just can't do it anymore. I can't. It's some of the religious stuff is just not, between men and women. And when people get on stage in my classes, I still take classes, and they start doing, things about homeless people or even abortion, it's just real sensitive. So the whole men versus women versus generations have changed.
yeah. So what about cultures, different cultures around the world? Is there differences the way people laugh, the way how they take and receive humor? Is there differences around the world?
Yeah, so I during the pandemic, I had the opportunity to take a lot of online classes, and one of the classes was is humor different throughout the world? And I'm like, you know what? It's even different from the east side to the west side of Detroit, and so and it's different from the north to the south. It's all the regions of the United States is different. So I was thinking about going to do comedy over in Saudi Arabia, where there's so many things you can't say. It's so, the women are different there, the men. And so you can't say some things in different cultures. That includes Russia, China. I don't even know if they do have comedy clubs in China. We learned about Chinese humor, or how to present your humor in China, India. South America. Europe is a little different. The British are very sarcastic and they have a lot of satire and irony going on. So they laugh at that just about anything. But comedy is cultural; it's different, and you have to study your audience before you step on a stage to try to make somebody laugh in those cultures.
Hmm. Who is one of your favorite comedians of all time?
There's no one favorite. You see, I've studied everybody, so
Come on,
there's no.
I want you to give me one now. Come on, there's got to be one that rises to the top.
Well, okay, I like Chris Tucker.
Okay, I'm not
Okay,
familiar.
most people don't know Chris Tucker. Okay, yeah, right. He's in Rush Hour. I like anything Eddie Murphy. I like everybody who was on Saturday Night Live. Any one of those comedians that came through there.
Okay,
I
okay.
like Chris Rock. I just went to see Chris Rock. I like a lot of the females. Amy Schumer. I like Whoopi Goldberg. It's just so many, and I study them to try to figure out who am I like, who am I not like, and I don't know. I just love comedy.
Do you have videos on YouTube that you've done in laughter in different places?
So I subscribe to a whole bunch of comedy things, comedy classes, and they'll show.
I'm just saying, so people could watch, you on stage. Are there? I've seen a couple. Are there are there many places they can go to hear your style of comedy and on the internet, like a YouTube or something like that?
So you're asking, am I on the internet doing comedy?
Yes. No. I've seen you in a couple clubs though. I've seen you online doing a
If
couple
you
couple
if
skits. Oh, well,
if
speaking of which, we're going to do one here in a little bit.
Yeah, if you've seen me, it's very rare because I don't post that stuff. I keep it unlisted, because
Okay. All right.
simply because over time I've grown, and the stuff from the past is like really bad. So you don't really want that out there. And if
You
s-
are
if a
something
and,
else, Doc. You are
and if
special reading. I
and if
love it.
a and if a booker calls me and sees something really bad, they won't book me. Okay, so I keep it. So it's all
You
private.
you're just generally funny. You're just who you are. Just being around you, I love it. So, okay, there is a little skit that I saw you do on the internet,
Hmm.
and it's the Doctor from the Hood. And I
Okay.
just like, oh my goodness gracious! When I saw that, I asked you if you would do that this evening, and you so graciously said yes.
Okay.
So, because you do it with all your little antics and whatever else you got going with it. Okay, so put
Oh yeah.
yourself in that mode because I want you to bring it.
All right, all right. So this is a little rap thing that I did back in the day, and I'm not a rapper. And my skit thing just developed out of just writing lyrics. So here it goes. Shelby Lane is my name. I'm a doctor in the hood. They call me Dr. Brother because I'm doing what I should. They bring him to my ear in a Benson expedition and they drop him off, half dead, full of ammunition. Doctor in the hood is how I want to be known, taking care of indigents and folks with no home. My musical producer is the famous Dr. Dre. I'm not the Slim Shady, I'm the real Shady Lane. I applied to be an astronaut so I could go to Mars, but my next destination is Dancing with the Stars. So if anybody asks you about the doctor in the hood, I'm the doctor from Detroit, and I'm doing what I should. Should.
That's great.
Yeah, and I
That
need
is,
and I need some music. So if you know anybody who can get some music behind those lyrics, I will talk to them.
I've got a couple of musicians that are really really good. As a matter of fact, one of my dear friends is Pastor Bernard Lawson, and
Uh-huh.
his call to fame, and he worked with James Ingram, and James Ingram was in his band. My
Uh-huh.
friend Pastor Lawson, actually, they used to call themselves the Revelation Funk is what they call themselves, and they used to play before some really big players like the Who and you know Grand Funk and all the the big bands, and
Uh-huh.
they were coming back one day from one of their concerts, and he was kind of stoned. He was inebriated. Anyways, he had an accident, and his car landed in a ravine, and
Oh.
it caught on a tree, and the car was literally hanging from a tree, and he was upside down. He said, "Lord, if you get me out of this, I will stop my ways." And guess what he did? He became a pastor.
Okay, yeah, there
That's
you
an
go.
amazing story. And
Yeah.
James Ingram ended up going to Hollywood, and you know this rest of the story there. So Pastor Lawson could have been in the same kind of realm there, but he decided to just keep his promise with God. Pretty amazing
Mhm.
story.
Yeah, it is, it is.
That's kind of bringing up musicians. I actually back in about 1990, or maybe it was around 1980, maybe 89, something like that. The Who came to Cleveland. The rock
Mhm,
band Who came to
mhm,
Cleveland. I was
mhm.
their physician for the weekend.
Oh,
Actually, I was
okay.
a stand call physician for the Who. That was my kind of call to fame with musicians. So it was fun. And when my
Yeah.
kids said, "Dad, did you get pictures with him?" I said, "No, I didn't
No.
want to get pictures with him." He said, "What do you mean you didn't do that?" I kind
Right.
of look back now and I wish I would have.
Oh,
You know?
yeah, absolutely, you have to do that. See, back in the day, we didn't do that, you wouldn't bother anybody, and I remember one day I was sitting in California with my family, and Christopher Reeve was there, before he had his accident. And he
Yeah.
came over, I was with my 2 boys, and he said, "Would you like an autograph?" I'm like, "I wasn't gonna talk to you, but sure, absolutely." I don't have a clue where that signature was, but if it had been a picture, I would still have it. See? Yeah.
Sure. So, speaking of movies, what is your favorite funny movie
See,
or funny?
you keep asking me the favorite word. That is not gonna get you anywhere. So get you
Come on
anywhere.
now, dig in there.
Oh,
Give
okay,
us a couple of them.
I
I'm
like
gonna start. I'm gonna write them down here.
okay, you gotta watch Rush Hour. You have to watch Rush Hour. You have to. And then,
Which one? That?
Rush Hour with Chris Tucker and Jackie Chan, and
Okay.
then there's It's Complicated with Meryl Streep and Alec Baldwin. I know Alec's in a little trouble now, but I love that movie so much. Then there's The Nutty Professor with Eddie Murphy, and anything Eddie Murphy,
Sure.
and
Sure.
and anything Tyler Perry with Medea. Uh, and I mean, the list goes on, but I'll just thumb through.
How about planes, trains, and automobiles?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely, yes,
That was one of
absolutely.
my favorite.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Oh, and Home Alone. Every Christmas I watch it like 8 times.
Uh-huh.
That I love that one. So it's just there's so many because I'll sit down. So now I'm into a whole movie thing, and I've been watching dark movies, like Your Honor. I don't know if you've seen that with Bryan Cranston. It's really dark. And The Menu. Oh my God, it's crazy. Uh, but anyway, I could go on with movies. But so those are some of my favorite comedies.
Okay. Let me ask you this question: Are people born funny?
Some are really naturally funny, but it's called what is my sense of humor, and then it can develop the funniness. So I love to laugh. So does that mean I was born funny? I just like to laugh, and so once I knew that I like to laugh, I wanted to make other people laugh. So it wasn't just about holding in the laughter for myself; it was like giving it to the people. So some
Were you
people are
funny
born funny.
when you were a child? Were you funny too?
Well, I had a hard childhood, so it was hard to be funny.
Yeah.
I don't know. Every time I got funny, I got beat. So, so
Oh, geez.
no, I would get like A's in academics in school, and then E's in citizenship. And my father was like, "What is wrong with you?" And basically, I'm glad it wasn't the other way around. E in academics and A in whatever I'm being behaving. But so yeah, I remember distinctly that. I was in the 6th grade, and I was at the back of the classroom, so it was a lot of kids up there, and I would just make faces and do stuff. And my teacher, I think it was English teacher, said, Cynthia Ann Shelby, that was my name. You can do more with looks than others can do with words. Come to the front of the class. And he put me at the front of the class, and I was no longer able to disturb the class anymore. I was at the back anyway. Why were people turning around to look at me? So I don't know. Maybe some people are born with more of a sense of humor, but it can be developed. That's why I take classes, because I still think I need work.
Hmm. So your soul sister from Detroit. Is laughter good for the soul?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah.
Tell us why.
Because it helps you to diffuse whatever's going on. If you allow let's say humor and then laughter. If it's not like you're just laughing for no apparent reason, you're looking at your life and saying, well, that could be humorous. For instance, I was driving in traffic one day and the traffic was going so slow and I was so pissed off. And then I looked up, I happened to be in a funeral procession. Okay. So it was like,
Oh,
so at that point, it was so good for me to like, wow, you could like sit back and just laugh at yourself for being stupid, and
uh-huh. Yeah,
and so
I can see
and
it.
yeah, and you wanna be able to sit back and laugh at
Do
yourself because
some
like you
soul searching right there, right?
absolutely,
Yeah,
absolutely,
that's good. I love it. That's really, really
yeah,
nice.
yeah, and I tell people that story and they're like, no, you didn't do that. I'm like, yes, I did. I would do it again if I could think I could get through traffic faster now. So I learned something.
Okay, so what are you know, I've got a question before I forget. You actually met Patch Adams. You
Yeah.
actually met him. Tell us a little bit about his personality when you interacted with him.
So I'm in I met Patch Adams at Gilda's Laugh Fest, and I don't know if you remember Gilda Radner. Gilda Radner had cancer. She was on Saturday Night Live. I studied at Second City also, so I studied in Chicago, and he was at one of these Gilda's Laugh Fest festivals, and so I said, "Oh, Patch, I love you. You do such great work." And he's a clown, so he's a doctor and a clown, and so he talked and he gave the lecture, and then all of a sudden he said, "Would you like to dance?" And so we started dancing. We just danced and danced. I'm like, okay, you are out dancing me. Okay, I can't do this anymore. I was so winded. So then that was like maybe 15 years later, I met him again at Gilda's. That was at some sort of comedy conference, and I met him again, and we just talked. And I always donate to his charity, and to his hospital, which is called Gesundheit. And Gesundheit is in, I think, the Appalachian Mountains.
Yeah, Appalachian Mountains, you're right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Did you dance with him the second time? The second time
No,
around?
no, he was so busy taking pictures and autographs and all that kind of stuff. So I just got a
Oh,
picture.
yeah.
But one of my friends now so he invited me to go to Russia to be one of the clowns. And the way you do this clowning thing with him, you're going to visit children with cancer, and you have to dress up in your city of origin before you get on the plane, which you've been in Detroit. You go to Kennedy Airport, and you have to dress up as a clown. You have to get out of your comfort zone and dress up with a nose or a clown, some clown's sort of suit, and you get on the
So
plane and
wait,
right.
when you went to Russia? You went to Russia with
No,
him?
I never went to Russia. No, I never went to Russia, but he
Okay.
invited me, and so I said
Okay,
no.
good.
But then he's in South America. But now, I can still go with him because he's always inviting people to go with him. But one of my friends now, his name is Brian. He is one of Patch's clowns now, and they go to South America, Mexico. They go all over, doing wonderful work for children with cancer. And Patch is just an incredible human being. He wrote me a long, long letter thanking me because I gave him like $500 when I won some contest and something, and I always donate to his charity. But he's just a wonderful human being from what I know about him, and so I just donate to Gesundheit and help
That's
the
awesome.
children.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Didn't Robin Williams do a great job?
Oh yeah.
Being,
Yes.
I mean,
Yeah.
I just love that. That's one of my favorite funny movies too. And
Yeah. Yeah.
I
Mrs. Doubtfire. Mrs. Doubtfire. I forgot that one. Mrs. Doubtfire.
oh
Yeah.
yeah, Mrs. Duffer. That's another good one too.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
also, My Big Fat Greek Wedding's another good one.
Yeah. Yeah. That's good. Yeah. See,
That's
I'm
a good
telling you, you keep saying favorite. I go here. Look, hear ye. Here's all my favorite movies.
one. Okay, let's talk a little bit about laughter resources. What kind of resources would you say that the average person could just pick up just to kind of have more humor in their life?
So if you even Googled resources for laughter, there's comedy classes. If you think you're funny and you want to be a comedian, you can go online and take Zoom classes online night and day now. My friends, I take classes out of American Comedy Institute in New York with Gotham. I perform in New York City. I'll be performing there February 24th. There's Dave Schwinson, which is the comedy book. There is Jerry Corley. You can do all sorts of comedy classes if you want to do that. Movies, we already talked about movies. So, any time you get like a little sad, I want to sit around, get a good, clean comedy movie, watch the family because it's family time, family night. We have family night at my house every night. So we're always watching a movie and then
Yeah.
hang around with fun and funny people. So if there's somebody in your life who's a downer, Debbie Downer, whomever the downers are, Karen Downer, I
Yeah.
don't know, Otis Downer, any of those downer people, just try to eliminate them, even if they're at work. I don't care who they are. They just gotta like if you're a downer, get rid of yourself. Or no,
Yeah.
don't knock yourself off. No, no, no. I didn't mean that. I didn't mean that. No, but try to lift yourself up. Lift yourself up, and also go to get help. Also, I think therapy is such an underrated and needed necessity in healthcare, and it's all sorts of therapy.
It's
Um, um,
better than taking a drug, than taking a
yeah, yeah,
medication.
yeah, yeah.
The
So
antidepressant drug, people don't realize antidepressant drugs, they really don't have any proof of efficacy. They really don't.
no, and you know why? It's because you're a functional medicine practitioner, just like me. So if you don't check neurotransmitters, and you know what those are, dopamine, serotonin, norepinephrine, all the adrenaline. If you check all the 18 neurotransmitters, you can figure out where you're high and low. And then the medications or the treatments or whatever, because some people really do need drugs. I'm just going to put it out there. 50% of the people I see are severely depressed and suicidal. So I'm not going to put drugs on the back burner. I'm going to say if you need it, you need it. But if you check your neurotransmitters, your doctor can probably prescribe towards what's a deficiency or what's an imbalance. And so people don't get neurotransmitter testing done. It's usually a saliva test. It can be a urine test that can tell you about your neurotransmitters. So those things are necessary. But talk therapy helps, comedy helps, good friends, movies, on Netflix, going out, dancing, mindfulness, breathing. It increases the parasympathetic tone, so you just calm
Exercise,
down.
exercise.
Exercise.
Yeah, Duke University did a study, and they found that people with moderate to severe depression did better with exercise than they did with the medication.
Yeah,
That's a
yeah,
pretty amazing study. Hey, but
yeah.
back to the laughter resources. One of the things I recommend in one of my books called Goodbye Illness, Hello Wellness. In that
Mhm.
book, I tell people about creating a laughter corner in their home. Just
Yeah.
maybe a little table and have like a pair of funny glasses and a bulbous, red nose, and maybe a funny book and maybe some bubbles or, a kazoo, any number of things that you want to have just to take a time out and go over to that table or that little bench and then just use one of those laughter resources. Have you ever heard of doing something like that?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, yeah. For sure. And I think I'm often in the moment because I studied at Harvard. I'm still finishing my coursework there. It's called the SMART program. It's SMART, Stress Management and Resiliency Training. So SMART. And I'm getting ready to put a group together so people can come. I have to do like I had to be the patient first. And the last chapter was humor. And the humor things that we had to do, we had to tell jokes to each other. And these are all doctors. You can't imagine how many doctors are stressed out in this group. I'm like, I thought this was anonymous. You got to record it. What are you doing here? So I'm like, I'm on camera. No, I said, you cannot put this to the public. But anyway, it's out there now. I just told you. So anyway, have little things little trinkets, little balls, little things that'll make you
Stress
laugh.
balls, stress balls. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
and journaling just I didn't realize that because we had to do journaling in our SMART training course. And I'm like, oh, I'm gonna write today, I'm gonna write. And then you write out and then you read it tomorrow, like, whoa, did I write this? And then you come back and you write again, like, whoa. And then somehow you find humor in that. I don't know. You find sadness, you find humor, you find whatever you find.
Sure, sure. Okay, I got a question that kind of intrigued me thinking about this for a while. I've got a lot of Black friends in my community, and I've always noticed that Black people laugh a whole lot more than white people. Is there any reason for that, you think?
I don't know that. I don't know
But
that.
I've watched it over time, and I've just seen it. I love the laughter that comes from the Black folk. It's just amazing to me, and it's just so much fun to be around. White people are so much stiffer. You
Yeah, I
know?
you know what I think is well, so I'm around a lot of white comedians, so I don't know that, and then I'm around a lot of black people who are really sad and depressed. So I see everything, so I can see the spectrum, and then there's my family. So we're gonna not going to talk about them, who is not laughing. So it depends on which black people you're talking about, but we do have kind of a cultural sense of survival, and laughter may be part of that survival sense in the black culture. And maybe that's what you're seeing more than what I'm able to recognize, because I'm in the forest and and I can't see the forest for the trees or whatever, however that saying goes. So maybe that's what I don't see. But you know what, you're probably right, I don't have any data on that.
Okay, just
Tomorrow.
go to if you go to a restaurant, okay,
Okay.
and there's a table or two of black people and there's some white people, you'll just hear the black people laughing up a storm, and the white people just they're talking away, which is fine. But
Uh-huh.
I just always notice that. I want to join that table. I want to get in that conversation. What I want to get in that laughter thing. So I just noticed that, and maybe you should start watching that a little bit more and kind of figure that out. And when you do, call me up and let me know what you figured
Okay.
out.
Yeah. Okay. I'm gonna write the book first, and then I'll call you. Okay.
All right. Awesome. So you've studied so much. I mean, you really have taken this to a different level, a whole different level. I mean, you're well educated and because all the aspects of your life, and then you've taken comedy to another level, studying so many different places. That's absolutely amazing. So you really have honed your skill.
Yeah.
It shows. And it's been really, really a pleasure to have you with us here this evening. And I could talk to you forever. No question about that.
Yeah, but you gotta pay. Okay.
That's great.
All right. Okay. But look, so when I go to the space station, I mean, I had to put it in the stars. I had to put in the universe that I'll be there. I'm gonna come back and talk to you. We're gonna have another conversation about all this.
So when is this possibility that you'll be going up with Elon Musk and is Elon Musk going with you?
Oh no, 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 no,
I
no. He
love
doesn't.
Elon Musk, by the way. I really do. I
Yeah,
think he's
yeah, I know.
awesome.
Yeah, I like him too. I mean, everybody has an opinion. So anyway, um,
Yeah.
but so I don't know. I'm still waiting, and I'm learning the new language that I needed to know all along, which is the language
Are
of
you talking about Martian?
yeah, at that too, and and then I'm learning that, and I'm just getting prepared for whatever it comes. Look, as
Is there,
long
was there,
as
is going to be an audition process again, or what do you think?
Yeah, I've already done that. I went through the FBI. I didn't do the fingerprinting, but I guess the FBI check or the background check, and then I went through the psychological check, and then
How'd
even
you
when I
do at
was at
that test? You
yeah,
okay?
even when I was at NASA, but at NASA before they said, well, we're gonna get it was a 6 hour psychiatric evaluation. I'm like, and so you think I'm crazy, but you're blasting people into outer space, all that TNT. All right, so I said, so no, I know I'm not scared either, and I'm not crazy. So this time, I guess I went there. I mean, you don't know. It's like, hi, I'm gonna go into a little black hole. And I'm gonna stay in there, and then I would do all the tests, and I'm gonna come back out, and I'll never find out what happened until I find out what happened. So
Are you
no, I
are you
get
are you scared of heights?
kinda, yeah, kinda. But I was a pilot before, so I already flown little Cessna planes. So
Oh, wow.
I'm not that
What
scared.
haven't you done? What haven't you done?
Well, I'm not gonna say yet. But anyways,
I'm not gonna talk about that. Okay. That's awesome. Well, this has been fun, let's talk a little bit about just you're called the anti-aging doctor, right?
I'm called the ageless doctor.
The ageless doctor. Okay.
Hmm. Yeah.
Okay. So how did you acquire that name?
When I first started into the functional medicine, anti-aging arena, I said, "Wow, I want to be ageless." But I already started that when I was in medical school. I'm like, I could be ageless. I'm not talking about looks or plastic surgery. I want to live, and I want to have fun and youth and vitality and energy, and I want to run and play. I mean, that's like ageless, isn't it? That's like the thing
Sure.
that you want. And I'm not trying to reverse the clock. Yes, I am. So at any rate, but so the word was available back in, I don't know, the 90s, and so I said I'm gonna be ageless doctor, and then I just became that on my email address, and then mm, and then it just stuck. It just stuck. I don't know.
Well, that just brings us back to full circle to what we talked about earlier about children laugh, was it 300 or 400 times a day?
Yeah.
And if we could continue to be like a little child, and by the way, I think there was a wise person one day said, be like the little children. I think his name was Jesus.
Yeah,
And he said,
absolutely.
be like a little child. So, my wife and I have this thing together. We say we're never going to get old. We're just going to just stay, fun and young for the rest of our life, no matter how many years we have. So
Yeah.
I'm with you. I'm with you all the way.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm getting ready to learn do ice skating now and skating backwards. So that's going to be another thing. I don't know.
Okay. All right. That sounds
No,
like fun.
because I'm already a hockey mom and I already know how to rollerblade and skate backwards that way. So now I'm getting ready to get a new pair
Oh,
of ice
rollerblading.
skates.
Rollerblading's really tough. I tried
Yeah.
that one time. My
So
ankle was really like this.
yeah, I've fallen. I rollerbladed in California, fell out on the beach, and got up and just kept going. So much fun. It's just that speed is just incredible.
Sure. One of my goals is, you remember Paul Bragg's, the natural. Um, he was one of the pioneers of natural medicine. Um, anyways, Jack LaLanne. You remember Jack LaLanne? Well,
Uh,
he and Paul Braggs were friends, and actually, um, Paul Braggs was at 96 years old. You mentioned California. That's what made me think of this. He was 96 years old and he was on a surfboard. And the surfboard came up on a big wave and it hit him in the head and it knocked him unconscious and he drowned. That's the way I want to go on the surfboard. 96 years old. That's what I'm going to do. So my wife and I, we just really, we purposely just try to find ways to just ignore the aging process because we're all going to
mhm.
age no matter what. So we just try to be young as we can. We're still doing triathlons. I'm 73. We do
Yeah,
triathlons, and I play basketball at Kent State University with college students. And I need to do more laughter. I'm going to
yeah.
quote since this evening. You're going to inspire me to do a lot more laughter. I'm going to start studying. Studies. Maybe one day I'll be a comedian. I don't know. We'll see.
You never know. You never know. Just the whole process of writing a joke. So you write down a situation, and then it becomes like, wow, I could do that on stage. So yesterday, I had a flat tire on the freeway. I was driving on the freeway. So I have one of those cars where the PSI shows up on all four tires, and so it started going. It started going down in the left rear. I'm driving on the freeway. I'm like, wow, I'm getting ready to have a blowout. I can see my life going before me with trucks around me. So I decided to get off the freeway in the hood, and I never go to a gas station in the hood, but I got out to go to the gas station, put some air in my tire. I left the car running. Am I a dummy? Okay, I left the car running. The gas station, the air was cut off because it's in the hood. I had to jump back in the car and get to work. I mean, I was like, as soon as I got there, it went completely flat. It was a little bitty thing, little bitty
Ooh,
screw. It wasn't even a nail. And so,
wow.
I have backup service. I have a AAA Platinum. I have OnStar. I have Cadillac roadside service, and I have a gang member who always take care of me along.
I was going to ask you if you had helicopter service too, but yeah, you got it. That's good. Okay, so before we leave, give us your best joke you've ever heard of. You ever talked
That was
about?
my best joke. That was it.
Oh, that was the best one. Come on, give us one more of that.
I don't have any more.
You don't have any more.
Okay.
You
All
got.
right. I say I always tell people I always start out with this. So I work in the healthcare field. I work in medicine. I work in the front line in Detroit. Detroit. Do you know Detroit? Previously known as the murder capital of the entire world. We have slipped in the ratings to number 4 behind Baltimore. Behind Baltimore. Look, Chicago is so jealous of us. They want to be Detroit. So I work in the healthcare field, and no, I'm not a nurse. No, because I don't have those kind of skills like listening and caring. I'm just a doctor. I'm a Detroit emergency physician. Baby, I'm the doctor in the hood.
Oh, I love it. Thank you so much. That's a great way to end. Listen, Dr. Shelby Lane, you guys have been privileged. We all have been privileged tonight to have this special lady. She is a woman of grace and she's funny as could be. Thank you, thank you, thank you for being here tonight.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Thank you so much.
All right, we'll keep in touch, okay?
All right, for sure. And
We'll try to have
uh,
you back sometime.
sh- shout out to your audience. Love you all.
Okay, love you
Happy
too, sweetie.
and happy New Year too, 2023.
Okay, be
Okay,
free in 2023. That's my motto.
that's right.
Be free in
Okay.
2023.
All right.
Ciao for now.
Bye. Ciao. Ciao, Bello.